All right, good evening, guys. First live on the LCAR Concepts YouTube page. Um, this is a really cool first live. So, my first actual video was an interview I did with John Farnham. I was really excited for that to be the first video, and I'm very excited for this to be the first live stream because I think we have an interesting conversation coming up tonight. There is a divide in the training space, and it it seems like it gets overly battled at some points. So I wanted to have a discussion. So I reached out to Erik Kangas, the real Yukon Cornelius. Damn, that's a long name. And also Sean Martin, Pinkshirt Tactical. I reach out to these guys. They spend a lot more time in the competition shooter space than I do, or performance shooting space. I dabble, but they definitely spend much more time there. But they are not interested in only owning firearms for competition purposes or recreational purposes. Their intent in what they teach people is the protection of life with firearms, serious use of firearms, to quote John Farnham. So, with knowing that our students have that goal of protecting themselves and those around them, we sometimes disagree on what training methodologies or the training path that students should take, and that's fine. But it seems like there's some no, you should not be doing that. You need to do this. And from the other side, it's the same thing of that'll get you killed in the streets. So without further ado, we'll pop these guys up here and start the conversation. All right. And I've got comments rolling on the side here, guys. If we can, we'll kind of do our best to disregard any of that while we're in conversation. If there's one that piqued your interest that you want me to scroll back to, I can and put it on the screen. We can address it if there's something that needs to be addressed in the comments. But figure with the three of us, we have enough to fill the talking time even before we go out to the comments. So welcome, guys.
How you doing?
All right.
Howdy,
I
howdy.
guess, Sean, since you ended up on the top on this little 3-square thingy bobber, let's just go clockwise and go ahead and give an introduction.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So, like he said, I'm Sean Martin. I am an instructor with a company called On-Site Firearms Training. I'm also the pro shooter and media manager for Night Fishing, the Sights Company, and Zafiri Precision. I'm a USPSA Grandmaster. I've been bouncing around the firearms industry for a while, a bunch of private training, trained with all the cool guy names, but I've never been a cop, never been in the military. I've just taken it on my own onus to get the knowledge and skills with the serious use of firearms, whether it's from the competition side, the fighting side. And I've tried to have a real broad sampling of those different parts.
Yeah, and so just because there's a little bit of nuance there. So you mentioned being a USPSA Grandmaster. So does that mean when you put on your special belt with your special gun and all of that stuff, is that what you do? Or
so yeah, I could clarify that a little bit more. So in me being on the path to making GM, I got into competition a couple of years ago. I dabbled in IDPA and different leagues.
Sorry, yeah, same. Sorry.
All right. Yeah.
No,
so
same.
no, it's okay. So, but I learned that I got in USPSA, and I started hearing about the GMs, the Mason Lanes, the Shane Coleys, and I started hearing all these names, and I'm like, all right, so GM, start learning all the numbers, which USPSA was the worst thing to get into because I'm terrible at math, and it's all math for the scoring system. But guys make GM with this gun, and I'm like, all right, that's cool, but I'm like, I'm gonna give it a shot, and I carry a gun. My first class was tactical response with fighting pistol with Jaeger back in 19. I got to meet him, stay at his house, the whole nine. So now that I'm in the competition, I'm like, what if I just kept going? Like, what if I just stayed from concealment from appendix using my Glock 19 or Glock 49 now and did that? So yeah, no, thank you for bringing that up. When I made GM, I did it with my concealed carry rig. Like, I don't have I have a clone of my carry gun because you don't want to put the time on it, but I use the same setup and the same gun to run through all the classifiers to get to GM.
Yeah. And magazines, do you have them like floating a few inches from your body?
They're in it's what I'm wearing right now. It's appendix, 2 sidecars, and just like I wear it now. Now, mind you, when I'm going different places, sometimes I'll have bigger or smaller magazines depending on what match it is, but I don't change my rig. I don't change the type of gun. I use the same stuff or a gun that I would carry every day.
Yeah. So your competition belt is the same thing as your going to get gas belt.
Correct. Yeah, no, like the belt that I put on in the morning does all of the things.
Like this, to me, again, I also dabbled in some IDPA, but to me, that's like a big differentiator between a lot of people, you and a lot of people who do shoot competition. So, just we need to make that known. Erik, you want to give an intro for yourself?
Sure. First off, Sean, congratulations on making Grandmaster, especially from Appendix. You are part of 0.69% of people that shoot USPSA that make GM. Yeah, nice. Exactly. No, that's the real number. It's incredible. I'm a lowly A-class shooter. I don't just shoot from Appendix, and there's a reason why I suck. I spent 2 years in B class in USPSA because I made B class mistakes. I jumped divisions, I jumped guns. I didn't take my own advice, and I thought the gun would make me shoot better. In competition and for classes and duty use and stuff like that, I carry a P10F. I carry guns of P10C. I should also shoot my P10C occasionally at USPSA and IDPA matches because kind of the same reason as you, Sean. You want to use what you carry. I like to train from a bunch of different setups, but they're all very similar. My USPSA belt and my tactical rig, the holster's at the exact same position with the exact same cant. I snatch grip. I've tried scooping, and I have dropped my gun a couple times doing dry fires in my house. So I do not scoop because I am I'm a bit of a strong boy. So that when I yank that gun, it likes to come. So I snatch grip, and it works really well for USPSA and for the Safari Land. It's the exact same motion. I've gone out to the range and tested this dry fire. Pretty much the zero degradation. Holy cow, I can't talk. Between the race gun and the tactical, or the race rig and the tactical rig, which is it's comforting to me to know that skill is directly translated just based off of how I draw. I draw from appendix the same way. I snatch grip. I like to get a grip on the gun, and but I did have a little time in the military. Did a little time contracting for the government in an armed capacity. Don't do that anymore. Not a big fan of stuff that's going on. I'm sure a lot of us have a lot of the very, very same views on that. I'm of the opinion, as far as just like from training methodology, that the first building block in any sort of tactical training you do should be building a competent set of skills behind the gun first. And I mean mechanics, shooting, like actually being able to take the gun and being able to demonstrate, articulate, and reproduce that result in people, but at the same time doing it in a manner to where it shows your competency. I mean, Sean, are you familiar with instructor Mike Brown out of Chicago?
The names, I think, the dude who's been getting a little bit of traction lately because of some of the stuff he's saying.
Yeah, Lewis, do you know who that is?
Yeah, I refuse to believe that even discussing it is worth.
Fair enough.
But
he and I obviously don't.
And I also have not been to one of his classes, so that's
so his concealed
I've
his
not.
concealed carry classes are great. They're actually very. He is very knowledgeable about. Unfortunately, since he lives in Chicago, there in Illinois, the laws there kind of suck.
Yep. And
He
I
is
don't know
very
his
informative for that stuff.
So like context, and I think we'll probably get into this
Yeah.
more later, but like to me, context is really big. I had a time early in my training career when I saw something that I thought looked straight up foolish and unredeemable, and I showed it to someone mentor like to me, and he was like, "Well, what is the guy working on?" And I'm like, huh? Like, no, it's stupid, right? Like, let's laugh.
Right.
It's stupid. And he's like, well, I don't know if it's stupid. I don't know what the guy's working on. And so like that moment will like always be crystallized in me of seeking more context. Like if we were going to talk about like Ben Stoger as an instructor, I've never been to one of his classes,
He's
but I've
kind of a
seen
dick.
like
But
really
that's why he's popular though, because he's kind of a
True.
dick. He does it on purpose.
Yeah, but I've seen long form stuff
Mhm.
filmed at his classes that I'm like, this guy knows things. And so personality, whatever, like he knows things, and it seems like on certain things he has a really good way of teaching it. So like I maybe make a little bit more of a judgment, even though I haven't been in the class, but I've probably spent, 8 or more hours listening to him teach. Whereas instructor Mike, I see a 60-second video of him screaming and knife handing somebody. And like, I don't know his clientele, how they respond to that. Like Sean, you've trained with Tim before, right?
Tim Herron, yes.
Or Tim Morris at Tactical Response.
That Tim. Yeah, I've trained with that one too.
So he's like, if you were to go home and say the things that he says during class, people would be like, that guy's an asshole, or, I wouldn't want to train with that guy. But like, every single person who ever takes a class with him is like, that guy's awesome. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Context.
Of course, that's kind of that word context is something that that's been like my banner lately, because the exact thing we've been talking about here, where the competition versus combat, gamer versus whatever mnemonic we want to attach to it, the skills that, so here's like my little saying with like USPSA competition in general, it's a Rubik's Cube with bullets, and it's your way of figuring out how to do the thing and move here. And you don't do, unless you're someone who does that, you don't do a Rubik's Cube to get better at a Rubik's Cube. You do a Rubik's Cube because it helps with dexterity and visualization and all the prerequisite skills that will help you do other stuff. The same way with USPSA, like being able to, look at targets quickly, get shots while moving, being able to see your sights, like all the prereq. It's not a one-to-one, but the things in there can be helpful. And people lose that context all the time.
All right. Anything to add, Eric?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to disagree with a grandmaster. That's just seems like a bad career decision. I'd ask you a quick question though, Sean, based off of, so obviously with you being the highest skill shooter that is out there with a handgun, from a measurable metric, based off of everything you know now, would you say that because of your experience and your capability, you can very quickly identify generally poor instruction when you see people trying to teach things, and you're like, you can clearly see is like, hey, that's not quality information?
Oh yeah. And more than being a GM, just being like an instructor, having trained with a bunch of different people, let's see, because you get to a certain point with training where you're not learning new things in class, like to shoot. You're learning new ways to teach and how other instructors like interact with people. Like Steve Fisher is a guy I've trained with a lot. If anybody knows who he is, he's a great shooter, great instructor, but he also has that personality of like the first time you meet him, you're going to be like, oh, this guy's a dick. I don't want to train with him, but he knows what he's talking about. And just the way he'll say something to somebody about their grip or that, but on the very same end of it, if you go somewhere like, you're watching somebody on the internet and they say or do something, you're like, that no, I would just never objectively say that. So yeah, you definitely can pick up that kind of thing.
I was just curious because, like, it's for me, that is obviously part of the way I got started on social media was after I got into competitive shooting. And unfortunately, I'm one of the guys that came from the tactical background with
Mhm.
the realization that there are levels to this game. When I got absolutely destroyed at a match by like a 14-year-old girl back in 2014, like I
Yeah.
just destroyed. And I was talking smack to her too. I'd won a couple Top Gun awards in the Army. I was winning all
Mm.
the Army competitions at the bases I was at. And when you're trying to beat a bunch of unclass or D-class shooters, you don't really have to try that hard,
Yeah.
realistically speaking, right? So, I mean, I was a low skill shooter, beating other low skill shooters, and just as far as my current skill, it's pretty mid, especially after the last few matches I've had. It's pretty freaking mid, but um, from that background, I started to kind of reevaluate just how I look at training in general and essentially building blocks.
Mhm.
I've been super blessed to have some really awesome mentors. I've had some really good chats with Tim Heron also about stuff like this. And the reason why I trained from the gamer rig, from the tactical rig, from Appendix, is because I want that. I want the capability to translate between each system, right? I want no degradation in skill. And on top of that, I want to make sure that if I'm teaching a concealed carry class, that what I'm demonstrating is crisp and very, it shows a very high degree of competency behind the gun. Same if I'm teaching a performance class or
Mm.
tactical class, because like cops get real salty
Oh yeah.
when you show up to a class wearing a gamer rig.
Mhm.
However, you show up wearing, your battle belt with your Safari Land holster on there, and you're performing to the same level. For some odd reason, they take that a little more seriously, and I kind of get it. But at the same time, like I've seen Mil Spec Mojo just absolutely smoke
Oh,
drills
of course.
from his level 3 retention holster. I can't match that speed, dog. And I'm running the Safari Land level 2, and
Mm.
I'm pretty consistent. I get, after a good warm up, I get some decent sub-second hits at range, but like that dude is something
Yeah,
else.
he's
Like
he's, he's
it's
phenomenal.
wild to see. Like even where I'm at, like I have a bunch of guys here that I shoot with. I do okay at the local club. I typically finish top 15 here, and we got some decent heat out here. We have Peyton Garcia from the Marine Corps Marksmanship Unit. He's a multi-division GM. He just moved here, and he's a phenomenal shooter. And Lawrence Gardner also, he's a regiment puke. Hates talking about that, which is funny because he's also GM and he's really good. But it's nice to have that level of skill because I look at if you look at realistically, if you looked at the average shooter, Sean, let's say you had just an average American gun owner try to mug you based off of skill, speed, and accuracy, you'd win that gunfight 10 out of 10 times because of the level of mastery you have behind the gun. Where for me, it's more realistically
Wait a
probably
second,
about
Eric,
70% of the time.
Yeah.
because I can't necessarily just let that slide because there's so much more that goes into surviving that mugging or whatever, coming out successful. There's so much more than goes into it than if they met on a Saturday in Arizona at the area whatever match, who would win? Like when that dude presents himself between your car, the gas pump, and you, there's more to the equation.
Right. You're talking about situational awareness,
Mm.
atmospherics, demographics, threat mitigation, stuff like that. But
Everything,
I'm
everything.
saying in
A
a straight up
competition.
gunfight,
Wait, Eric, hang on one sec. A competition is run on time,
right?
measurable time, right? Greeks had two words for time, one that being chronos. Then they had a
Right.
word for relational time. So if, for instance, my draw stroke, this is my demo for live streams. If
Good call.
my draw stroke is extremely slow, but on you before you see any movement from my body, like now that makes it pretty fast. That is going to be harder to key off of. You might not know you're in a fight until you're looking at the muzzle versus even if it's faster, it's who gets to go sooner in a fight is often more important than who is faster. So I had to throw that in there because you kind of made the equation that like whoever is a higher ranked shooter is
Not
going
necessarily a higher rank, higher skill. Skill, because performance drives tactics. So that's why your tier one guys are bringing in competitive shooters to teach them shooting, so they have this very solid building block, the
because it's
mindset
that piece.
capability and
They're
the thought process they need to make fast decisions in a tactical
no, no,
environment. It's not
no,
the other way around.
time out. They bring in, right? Rob Latham goes and teaches at special operations or whoever the cool guy GM that they're going to hire to come in to teach this thing. It's because they've been spending the last however long training all that other shit. And now they have a concern of maybe shoot gun more faster, more better, this much. Okay, it's worth taking that class. So I think the issue becomes to a new shooter, when you tell them stuff like that, then that's all they chase. If I told you all that matters is horsepower, you're going to end up with a drag car. But then when we get on a road course, you're going to be like, what the fuck? Right?
Well, I mean, if again you're talking about, let's just say, for instance, I know a little bit about JSOC. You're taking 12 guys, you're putting them in a team. Unilaterally, they are training for 60 hours a week together for 6 months to learn each other's habits, how they move, how they lean, how they peak, nonverbal communication based off of just basic kinesiology. When you take that element and you add that, then yes, they're going to be very, very good tactically, very sound. Their shooting's probably going to be better than your average
Yeah.
USPSA C class, B class guy. But the reason, again, why they bring in these competitive shooters is because, again, they understand that performance drives tactics. You can only plateau at a low level of skill tactically if your shooting skill match is low, right? It's not one or the other. We don't rise to the occasion. We fall to our lowest level of training. That's why I do jujitsu. That's why I do Kali, because if, like you said, in this situation where, oh, guns out, it's pointed at me, or somebody tackles me on the street. I mean, we talked about this on the phone. Somebody walks up behind me, shoots me in the back of the head, and my brain's turned off, like I'm not paying attention. I lose that gunfight, right?
Yeah.
But realistically speaking, when you're talking about someone, like you said, muzzle on, you're starting in second place and you're ending in first. So if your skill level is low, your tactics are going to be at the same, just because that's how that works. The human body does not allow for us to channel and mitigate stress based off of our ability to focus under high stress if we don't have the stress inoculated in small doses over a period of time. And that's one of the biggest advantages.
I'd like to come back to that later.
I mean, if you took me and Sean, right, and you put us, just straight up head to head, 10 yards apart, either a beep or a a visual cue, he's going to beat me in that gunfight, right? If we're talking about just pure skill and capability.
Yep. Correct. Now, out of the people you train, right? So, do you guys train any department? Like we're going to train
I've done department contracts.
Okay,
on occasion.
So that stuff, I don't do that kind of stuff. If there's a cop that wants, to come get training, like that's fine, but I'm not going to take taxpayer money for a bunch of dudes who are told they have to be there.
I
Because
know what you're saying.
rather train
Sean
in-
knows. Yeah, Sean
But-
knows.
But it's where the money is. But if I wanted money,
Facts.
I'd still be doing what I was doing 10 years ago, making
But
buckets.
I don't mean to cut you off, but to your point about like the taxpayer money for guys who are being told to be there, I'll keep it as anonymous as I can. But I was doing a contract with my company for a department, hours away, a somewhat well-known department for a particular incident. I'm going to just leave it at that. And you can tell the difference between like an open enrollment class that people like seeked out to sign up for versus, hey, we're going to come in and like, we know your department, your training chief, and we're going to set this up. And it's just, they kind of, it's the enthusiasm isn't quite there. Don't get me wrong. Some of the guys were great. They really liked it. They got to do the old razzle dazzle with the timer and stuff. But some of them were just like, I'm just getting by. And I'm like, yeah, but if this is like, you're doing well.
Is this going to be on the qual?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. So, yeah, I get what you're saying on that, though.
So, but for the vast majority of us or our students, I think we're dealing more like the name of my company, Lone Civilian Armed Responder. Like, I don't have
that's a good
a
point.
12-man team. I don't have this. I
Yeah.
don't have that. So for purposes of the conversation, let's try and keep it away from like, well, Delta does this. Like, awesome. If I knew I had Super Dave and a bunch of his dude, I miss him, man. I fucking miss him a lot. But if I had him and, a bunch of squared away dudes with me everywhere I went, like intersecting fields of fire, like, yeah, that's going to make things different. As a lone operator, I think tactics, if you are smart with your tactics, your skill being slightly lower may not be. It's like the video game sliders of creative players. You want their tactics.
Yeah, I fucked my character build up a long time ago.
Right? Because, tactics versus skill. The dude who Erik just said, you were like, if the guy walks up behind me and puts a muzzle in my hair and presses the trigger, he's going to win. Like, guess what he had? Great tactics.
Yeah, you can't outskill that. Like, you can't outdraw or like split that. Like, that's kind of, if the timer is the gun going off behind your head, there's no skill in the world that's going to mitigate that.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I was talking to Lewis about this too. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Sean. Finish up.
Oh no. But to your point about like the standing in the street, the gun to gun. So the way I try to teach pistol for the most part, unless it's like, my pistol speed clinic day, which is just all about getting faster with a handgun. If it's a defensive handgun, I try to do as much like vocational pistol as possible, where the things I'm teaching you, the way you grip the gun, the way you draw the gun, the way you see your sights, cover the defensive and the competition. To the other side of that, I get like, unfortunately, the way I poach a lot of students in the area is I show up to the local matches with the shirt and people are like, who's this like short fat kid with the pink shirt? And I'm like, hold my beer, watch this. And then I hand out
hell yeah.
I mean, that's the whole point.
Hold this L.
That's the whole point of this is like, what's with the shirt? I'll show you in a second.
Yeah.
But I do that.
Awesome.
Like, super kudos for doing that, because it's like, I'll be better than you at this game, so that I can explain to you there's more.
Right. And what I see happens with a lot of, again, I don't want to sound like I'm disparaging the sport at all because I put so much time into it. But what I see, because USPSA is so enjoyable, people will take, the $20 for the entry for the night and bring 150 rounds, and they'll shoot the stages week after week, different stages, but they'll shoot the practice nights week after week and be like, yeah, I'm training. But it's like, but you're not getting a chance to like clean up the fact that you're throwing deltas and moving too fast and flubbing the reload. So what I find to the point of that, when people are like, yeah, I'm training for like self-defense, doing the matches, it's like, but all you're doing is worrying about your times and your points. And have you taken like a defensive gun handling class? My favorite one. Have you ever done force on force? And they're like, what's that mean? I'm like, well, yeah. And so not to say that, not to be like the skills don't matter because it's all about the tactics. But if guys, so again, we go through all the important things, what's on top, the mindset. Guys who do the gamer stuff, and then you try to get them into the defensive tactical world. I said tactical, now I'm nauseous. But because I try not to say it because it's like it's a buzzword at this point. But the guys who do the splits and everything, and it's like, well, you got to carry a gun and like understand that like the hits are important, but you need to have your mind in the right place to make it there.
Right.
Okay.
I think that as far as pushing skill, especially for armed professionals or cops in this case, the way that I started getting into teaching the SWAT guys here at our sheriff's department was one of my best friends is on the SWAT team. I've known him for almost 20 years. And two, they were like, hey, can we come shoot a match with you? And I was like, yeah. And I have an open deal with everyone I meet that's out there. It's like, hey, if you want to come shoot a match and you've never shot a match before, I sponsor the match, guns, ammo, pay for the match fee, whatever you want to run, my appendix rig, my gamer rig, my tactical rig, whatever you want to run an Atlas, I can make that happen. Like I want someone to have a good experience because like building the skill for me based off of my background. This is probably a bit of a bias though, but having a low level of skill has almost got me killed more times than I can count. But as soon as I started building just the skill behind the actual shooting, things became much easier because I was much more confident in the way I would interact with people, especially contracting. I worked in the ghetto, dog. Like I'd have 50, 60 different people trying to throw hands every day, but I was confident in the skill behind the gun and obviously with the jujitsu and everything behind the hands. So it gave me a lot more leeway. I mean, I've gotten in trouble for not shooting a guy with a knife. It's like, and again, you talk about mindset. I knew the guy was a frequent flyer there at our building. He had severe mental health issues. The knife was a little 2.5-inch pocket knife you get at the gas station. If you can kill me with a 2.5-inch pocket knife, I would highly be impressed. And it was just a simple case of just standing in front of him and just slowly walking towards him, getting him out of the building, and then I hosed him down with OC and he wouldn't drop the knife. Like, and that was it. But I got in trouble and ended up losing that job because of that situation because I refused to use, what in my opinion, excessive force.
Oh, good for you.
But I do agree that the mindset is probably the most important thing because I think Lewis brought this up. Lewis, were you telling me on our phone call about the cop that got shot in the face and he kept fighting?
Yep, Jared Reston.
Or what was it?
Yeah,
that's
dude,
it. Like
Reston's awesome. We bring him up every year. He's awesome.
You can't teach that.
Nope.
That is not something you sit there and drive home. That has got to be ingrained from like an early onset age. And just based off of the studying I've done, a lot of childhood trauma. Like that level of survival comes from like a rough background, which is really, really sad. Because like if you sat him down and got him some drinks, be like, hey, how was your childhood? I'd bet a paycheck it was probably pretty rough. Like because you meet like a lot of you like somebody said that the selection, the guys that go through JSOC are pre-selected for their mindset. I bet you ask a lot of those guys about their childhoods, they might have been a little bit rough. They had to start building this fighter, this not necessarily like a fight or flight mindset, but I'm gonna win this kind of mindset, right?
I think that's it. It definitely can be bred, or it is taught in rough growings up, right? I think it's something like my theory would be more that it's not like I would say, yeah, Jared definitely had a hard childhood because he was able to do that because you have to be born with it or it has to happen to you from trauma in childhood. It's like the same thing with professional athletes. You get dudes who like no other option or real shit growing up, and that was their ticket out. But you also do get some of the raised at the country club, got the private coaching. It's the will to win is something that maybe can't be taught quickly easily.
Mm.
I can definitely get someone shooting 90s who's on a B8 at 25 yards faster than I could teach someone that amount of will. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Mhm.
But it is something that can be cultivated, I believe.
You know,
To
it
be
absolutely, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's the same way that, like, I talk with, you know, when we do the defensive clip, like the mindset lecture, trying to get people in the right headspace. So I've found that people get into defensive shooting and get in the right place one of two ways. One, fortunately, the way I did, where I drew an interest in firearms and training years ago, and I studied and I traveled and I eventually instilled it. Or the other way, which is a lot more common, something really shitty happens to somebody and they get traumatized,
Oh,
and then they flip this switch and like get into it like through trauma. And that's kind of the same way.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I did force on force training, I
Uh-huh.
ended up with like two scars, like right here,
Hmm.
perfect,
Everybody remembers their first time.
right? And it's like
bro.
for months getting out of the shower, drying off, looking in the mirror,
Just being
like
reminded, yeah.
that shit doesn't, guess what day that shit doesn't happen again
Hmm.
today?
Yeah.
Like that that lesson has been learned. Yeah, for sure. Like I got a scar here on the hand. I gave up long coverage on a CQB class in force on force and fucking caught one right in the hand, got my team all shot up. Like that's a reminder, like do your job. Like, okay, we're not alone anymore. So yeah, I think you can learn stuff like that. You can see mindset shifts in people though when you do try and teach it.
Oh,
And
okay.
and when you do teach it, like you have the mother in class that when you talk about the fact that like, yeah, you might have to shoot someone that looks like one of your kids' friends. And she's like, "Oh,
It's,
what?
it's the truth, so
Oh
it's a
my goodness." And then yeah, like 3 minutes later, she's like, thank you for that. Like, because I had never even thought of a bad guy looking like, one of my kids' friends. And I'm like, yeah, that might be the bad guy that's going to try and hurt you.
yeah.
So you can open eyes to that
Mm.
and to open up that mental gaming and pre-planning and
Mhm.
running through scenarios and stuff. And if you get people in that mode of thinking, kind of upping their situational awareness, how much is that worth versus an extra hundredth or extra 300th
Mhm.
a split?
Oh
Well,
yeah.
so I mean, those are two completely different things, though, because situational awareness is built off of cognitive capability, preconditioning,
Mhm.
and advanced situational awareness training. Someone being able to say, "Hey, here are bodily identifiers to cue off of to take you out of that hyper
Mhm.
aware state into, or that hyper vigilant state into an informed aware state." You're talking about 3/100ths of a second on a split time. What if, based off of all the shooting that you do, like if you're Sean, your grandmaster, Sean, how quickly can you make a decision? Do you think, like, if you're out, let's say you're running a course of fire,
Mhm.
you realize you've already shot at a target, how quick do you think that's from there to your next decision? How quick?
Kind of varies. If we're talking about like, I'll dive into that a little bit. So, the kind of actually, I can talk about it from Area 8 because I have a perfect example that comes to mind. There was one stage where it was like a long shooting area, and there was like a little back place where you started, and there's two walls, target, lean over. There's like a half target at 10, and there's two at like there's two at like 35. It's a full open and a head box only. And I know, say left, right, head box. I didn't like that one head box. I'd say probably on that from the time between the second shot, I didn't like the way the dot left. I got to give it one more. Let's call it point three. I'd say point three would probably be for for a small decision like that, like a makeup shot at distance.
That's pretty quick. So my argument,
Yeah, yeah. So I'm sorry, Eric. Maybe I didn't articulate my um, my point on the last one because it went a little sideways. Like if you have a B class shooter, all right, before we get there, I'm new. I just turned 21. I'm allowed to buy a pistol, right? The king says it's okay now. So I'm going to go out and get a pistol. I want to be able to protect my family. I've got a girlfriend that I really like. I might want to marry her, kind of thinking about having kids, maybe a house one day. Like, I want to be safe. So I go to the interwebs and I go, how do I get good with my gun to protect myself? And somehow I get sucked in a line. So I'm going to give you two different people here. This dude gets sucked into a line that's like skill, 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 skill. The people with the most skill are called grandmasters. People with a little bit less skill are called masters. Under that, you know what I mean? Like, so that's, if you have that, then you're safe, right? So I have no idea about situational awareness. I was raised with a fucking cell phone in my hand, iPad, fucking kid, no fucking clue. Like, literally, it's only by the grace of God that I've not had my iPhone ripped out of my hands while walking down the street in the city, in the public, right? But I chase that, and I get to, let's say, B class, because apparently
Best class. B class is best
well,
class.
people from Delta,
Definitely the vibes are better in B class, that's for sure.
Facts.
people from Delta say that C or B class is where most Delta Force operators would land.
Yep.
So let's say I get to B class. Now, other dude, he goes on the internet, right? Same kind of setup. All right, how do I get good with this gun to boop, 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 protect everybody? Boom. Oh, shoot. On-site firearms training, like defensive pistol. Interesting. I'll go there, right? Or tactical response, fighting pistol. I'll go there. And they receive a mindset lecture that's 3 hours that opens their mind up to some of the facts of criminal mindset, like all the stuff you said criminology wise that you know and you're taking for granted, but pre-assault cues, pre-assault indicators, grooming, picking, whatever, all that stuff is included in this lecture, and what potential bad guys will look like, and games that you can play when you're in a restaurant to increase your situational awareness, and has this training. And then he's like, yeah, and skill is important too. So I'm going to shoot competition, but he's a C class shooter, not because the B class shooter spent more time, but like this dude has C level skill and that other dude had B level skill. Like, who is safer walking around in public?
People that can make decisions faster, that can recognize and process data faster. It's really that simple. You look at any sort of DIA, CIA logbook. That's how they train that stuff.
So he's not, Eric, you're not wrong. Like, if you can like make a decision faster, obviously you're going to be better. But at the same time, there isn't a classifier or a match that's going to teach you what a bad guy looks like. So
Facts.
even if, like, don't get me wrong, I don't disagree. Like, I every single student I have, I push them with performance. It's like, okay, you can like shoot well. Like, I want you to shoot better, but I can't teach them the performance and like what bad guys do, because even if you have the sub-second draw, you have the splits, you can make the decisions faster. If you have to make the decision when the bad guy's already coming at you with the knife within arm's length versus like Lewis's point of like the guy understands grooming and patterns, that he may not be the best, but he's going to be able to get to the fight before it happens versus somebody who I can teach them a sub-second draw. And that's I think where this this is, I think we're boiling down to the real point of where the competition versus combat thing is an issue. They're two completely different things that are in parallel. One or the other isn't everything. You got to have both. Like, I find that people who start shooting through the matches they struggle in a lot of I've had this happen multiple times. I'll get the guys at the matches like, hey, all right, come to a Wednesday night skill build. 3 hours. We're going to dick around with some pistols. We're going to work on some stuff. One of our favorite targets is the 3x5 index card, representative of a lot of nice things. And I'll be like, all right, 7-10 yards, hit it 5 rounds, give me 5 hits into the 3x5, and they'll go wah, 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 wah. And I'm like, we'll go up and look and say, okay, cool. You got one high, you got one to the right here, and they're like, oh, it's trying to go fast. I'm like, I didn't tell you to go fast though, dude. I told you just put the hits on the thing, because their brains are so narrow into like the splits and the matches, and the skills are good, but having it with the mindset of what you're doing with a pistol, carrying a gun every day to protect, and one or the other is not bad. We need to have them both and understand the context of what you're doing in the moment. I think that's kind of the real neat fine point of like where this is starting to split off and why we have the camps.
I want to roll this back to a question that Lewis, you actually have asked me the most thought-provoking question that I've ever had in a conversation with anyone about firearms. You asked me, if I put my wife side by side to a target that I had to build drill my fast time about 1.8, would I slow down and get my hits? And it took me a minute to think about that for a second. And me and my wife have talked about this since then. One, I told her never to stand by anything I'm shooting just in case, but I am confident that I could, in about 1.81 to 1.85, which is a typical clean bill for me, from concealment and whatnot, I could put her shoulder to shoulder with that target, and 10 out of 10 times make those 6 hits in that A zone or in that C zone easily without putting her life in danger. So that is the most thought-provoking question you've asked. No one's ever asked me that. I want to say I appreciate it, because you activated something neurologically in me that has probably been laying dormant for a long, long time. And then I think we got into the warm-up drills that I have SWAT guys do. The hunter, Sean, I have them do the Hunter Constantine drill when we start.
That's a good
yards,
one.
One shot.
That's a really good one.
I turn it down to 2 seconds for them. And after about 4 hours of just performance training, they are able to perform that. And what I tell them is, hey, this is my wife standing on the other end. This white cardboard cutout, is my wife. You have a 6x6 inch gap to make a critical shot in it has to be quick. Now, granted, I know in the real world, it's probably going to be a little more than 2 seconds. Okay. If you're a cop and you're having to take a shot with a pistol like that, you've probably been yelling at the dude or the chick to drop whatever they're doing to hold that person, and at that point, I would argue that the level of mastery just boils down to sight, trigger press, and making that bullet go, like a bullseye drill, kind of with your 3x5 cards, make that bullet go exactly where you want. The 3x5 cards, I think, also show a huge disparity in people's knowledge or understanding of throttle control, right? Because if I want my shots to be way more precise, I need a more precise sight picture. And if I can't see quickly, like if I haven't built the skill to where my eyes are going to track my dot or my sights quickly, I'm not going to be making those shots because my margin of error is too big. But that's a really good thing.
Right there, Erik, is kind of my argument for, if you go too far down the skill road without thinking stuff. I say skill road, I'm sorry, timer mode, right? Because at the end of the day, or competition, because I think competition and skill could probably be separated, right? Like a Super Dave class is not a competition. It's not shooting competition. But if you ran Super Dave drills all the time, you would get more skill.
Of course.
Right. So I think those things are separated. And like you said, Sean, people are in this mindset, which we all agree is the most important. Most important thing is time. And therefore accuracy suffers, like you just said on your 3x5 drill, or sometimes with the SWAT guys. I think I asked you over the phone, Erik, I said, what happens more often? People who make their hit after par to fail, or people who miss before the par to fed.
You can't miss fast enough is bullshit, in my opinion. That's so dumb.
What's that?
That is so, the phrase "you can't miss fast enough." That's so dumb.
Well,
that is so stupid,
it,
in my opinion.
It can be. It's simple. Any simplified like motto like that is going to be
anything.
fucking
Yeah, absolutely. Anything that's like black and white like that, like you can't miss fast enough. Well, when we say miss, what are we talking? Yeah.
Accuracy's final. Like, okay.
Yeah. So to Eric's point on that, one thing that I'm going to disparage a little bit with USPSA that I'm seeing more of, which I'm not a huge fan of, is hit factor scoring being used in law enforcement training. Now, that on the surface is not necessarily bad, but what I'm seeing is that guys are taking full-size USPSA metrics and using that to measure scoring for law enforcement. Eric, I haven't seen you in person, but you seem like a burly feller. You take a USPSA target and overlay it on your body. Where are deltas on you?
My rib cage.
Rib cage, like out here, where are those valuable spots for a round to hit? So when we say miss, what are we talking about?
A delta.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like that's, for me, a delta is always, like that's, if we're talking about fighting with a gun, deltas are misses and those are bad.
Yeah.
So when we say a miss, like if you're talking about like, oh, I threw one a half-inch left of the A zone, but I did it with a second and a half under par. Okay, you have the skills. We can toy with that a little bit. But if you're like, oh yeah, I did a sub-second shot, it's like you broke the perf on the outside of the delta. You're way in the wrong direction. So there has to be like, my favorite, I have yet to find a better target. My favorite target is still the shoot steel cardboard. That's still my favorite target for stuff.
I'm not familiar. Can you break that down for me?
Oh yeah, so the shoot steel target is it's a cardboard silhouette with like a neck, and it's got a little like an A zone or a 0 zone that's like a triangle here, and it's like a 4x8 and then like a 4-inch circle right here. It's anatomically.
Sorry guys, sorry.
You're good, Lewis.
I'm trying to pull a browser over here so I can
show the target.
Yeah, it's a shoot steel target. I'm gonna have to look at those real quick.
Yeah, they're really cool. They're a little pricey because they're cardboard, but in terms of like defensive stuff, they're phenomenal. And back to the point of talking about if you put your loved one next to a target to do a bill drill, when I heard that, I'm like, yeah, I'll slow down a little bit. I'll make it like a 2 flat just to make, to within myself to remain confident. One drill that we do in that same vein, which really brings it home. We'll put like a paper silhouette up of a bad guy, a little fake gun. We'll take the shoot steel cardboard. We'll flip it around to the blank side. We'll kind of like clip it sideways. So it'll be bad guy head and cardboard. Get a Sharpie. Go to the students. Cool. Put your loved one's name and the head of that target. Write their name. And then we'll go back to like 10 yards, 15 yards. Okay, now make the shot. And that also helps drive it home because it's still just paper, but like the fact that that student wrote the name solidifies it in their head for that shot.
Well,
that's a good way to.
And I do it a little different. For that. I just go stand next to the target.
I think there's levels to this game, obviously, especially within the tactical stuff. I mean, the reason why certain agencies, individuals, and stuff like that will put human, live targets on the other end is because of that mastery of that skill, so they can apply it actively in a tactical situation. So yeah, those are neat.
I just love that target.
That's really neat. I do like your approach to like, hey, this is a loved one that you care about. I really like that approach because, if you want to get someone into that, hey, I have to make this shot. So I would say then, where's your critical threshold? Right. So like, is my critical threshold, like truly, I know in 2 seconds, I definitely run in. I still have yet to do Tim Heron's thing for head box, bill drill in under 2. The guy's a unit, dude.
Tim Heron and his head box bill drill.
Dude, he is. He did that in 196. That was nuts in a 2x4 box. So like, it's doable, right? That threshold is there. is it reasonable for me? Dog, I wish I could do that, because this dude talks so much shit to me. Every month he'll be like, hey, did you do the headbox build drill yet? And I'm like, no. He's like, well, when you're good, you'll be able to. And I'm like, thanks, Tim. Fucking
Us
5'4" dude talking shit to me.
Mhm.
us as instructors, like there's stuff that we might be looking to push to be able to do, but what is the importance for the students that we teach? Because that's who listen to us. That's
Right.
who follow us, and they hear, just like kids hear what parents say, even if you don't want them to. They hear us. So when we're like, man, like, yeah, 2 second head box build drill is what I need. If that person spends X amount of time
Right.
practicing that and has still never actually learned how to use cover,
Mm.
or has never learned how to shoot on the move, like on the move as if you're being shot at, because like I I've seen people do shooting on the move, in class on the square range, and we're going around barrels or here, there, whatever, lateral, and there's one pace. And then in the force on force shoot house, they're doing shooting on a move at a much different pace.
Of
Right.
course.
So at what point do we need to be like upfront, or how can we be upfront? Because it seems like we're kind of in agreement that, like, without the mindset and being able to pick up on shit, like Erik said, the most important thing is being able to make decisions. How do you make decisions? You have to know what decisions to make. You have to understand the data coming at you. So if you have no idea what it means when my eyes are going, looking at your eyes, your chin, your eyes, your chin, your eyes, your chin, and you hang out there for, 3 more of these, like, you're going to be very surprised, like when this fist just hits you right in the mouth. But if you know to look for that because you've been taught that, and someone goes eyes, chin, and you immediately shift some weight or move, so now that target just moved for him, he needs to do a full ODA, right? Like, so at what point of skill do we need before we worry about that? Or at what point, I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. How can we fit this puzzle together where people become highly skilled and they don't rest on I'll mindset my way out of this, but have it be appropriate? And are we gatekeeping if we say, well, if you're not at least B class, don't worry about using cover correctly. Just keep running up to the stick, put your foot there.
Mm.
Because again, if the student's goal is to be good at competition shooting, cool, man, I'm fine with it. Like, buy guns. You're an American, you make your decision. But if they're like, hey, man, how do I get better at protecting my wife? And everything they're being taught is, well, just stick your foot on that stick, come out wide of the wall, and it doesn't matter what order we shoot these things in. And if you hit one of the innocent people down there, it's okay. Just shoot the bad guy one more time really fast.
You're not wrong at all. It's like, again, that's the different things, and that's so we go back to the context. What are you trying to do? If you're trying to get better performance wise, go for it. Shoot the matches, do the splits and the timers and whatever. But if there is any aspect of defensive mindset in what you're doing, personally, I find that taking a fighting pistol or something of similar vein to get your mind in the right space to be able to relate back to from the performance. Because obviously, like Erik's saying, the decision making and just the general performance aspect of it is beneficial. Obviously, we're talking about it. But if they don't have the right foundation, it's all going to get lost in translation one way or the other.
I agree. I agree. I mean, my favorite thing to tell people is like, hey, break this down for me. It's not every competition is a gunfight. That would be
Mm,
unfair. But every
of course.
gunfight is a competition
Oh,
where
1,000%.
winning means survival, right? So that's kind of like try to shift, like you guys are talking about, mindset and stuff like that. But I just want to say I've got to go here in about
Yeah,
two
I was
minutes.
just about
But
to.
Lewis, I appreciate you I cannot English hosting.
Hell yeah.
Sean, thank you for gracing us with your knowledge. It's always fun to hear from guys that have achieved what you've achieved. That's rare, dude.
Thank you, Eric. I
I
appreciate
appreciate
that.
that. And just to everyone that's watching, please know that we don't carry guns because we want to find a reason to use them. We carry guns to protect ourselves and to find ways around having to use the firearm, right? So I do hope that all you guys are watching that you do train, regardless of what it is, so you have a level of skill that you can protect your loved ones with, and that you never have to use that. That is my earnest wish for you guys, because taking human life is a big deal, and it is not something that you can easily carry over a long period of time. So, but gentlemen, I appreciate your time. Stay safe. Godspeed.
Thank you, Eric.
Have a good night. All right.
Cool.
So yeah, I mean, I guess we're very like-minded.
Yep.
So I don't know if we have much debate left, thing like that. I Again, it's one of those things where, like, man, I so appreciate you putting in the time to become GM,
Thank you.
because that means that I don't have to. It's like it's one of those things where, like, frustration levels get to where it's like, man, there's more to fights
Mhm.
and violence than skill.
Of course.
And you could train a boxer, and he could have the crispest looking, most beautiful, the skill on his jabs, all his combos. He's working the focus mitts like a champ, jump ropes like no other, but has never been in a physical altercation. And then you get like somebody off the street who's at 16 has been in like
Mhm.
50 fights, to the
Yeah.
death in the street. Put them in a ring, like, who do you like in the fight? Like, I'll
Mhm.
take the dude that's been punched a
Yes.
billion times, because he's gonna know what it feels like when that first one hits him, versus the dude who's punched a billion times
Mhm.
and has that part refined. And so it's a little bit, I guess, redundant there. But I'll ask you a question, and I didn't get to
Yeah,
say it
go.
to Eric, but like, I wish I wish he would have his wife stand there, like,
Mhm.
for his benefit and for hers. Like, if he were a student of mine, I'd be like,
Mhm.
Eric, you might have to make that shot. This is like a legitimate shot you've got to
Oh, yeah.
make,
Absolutely.
you know?
And so, to that same vein, because I remember a while ago that Eric did the thing with Jay, where Jay Gibson's videos were coming around, and he was talking about him, and it's like, all right, I get, like, Jay's doing, like, that's what he trains, that's what he does. Like, I've trained, as a matter of fact, I've trained under Jay with you. You were there. I remember that. That was a good class. I was like one of your first classes teaching a tactical response.
Yeah.
And I always say that the first time you do something, ideally, is not going to be for when it counts. So if you have the opportunity to safely practice something that would be dangerous, maybe try to do that in a controlled environment. That way, the first time you have to take a hostage shot or something ridiculous isn't for when it's real. I'm not saying that I'm going to get people who just got their pistol permits, we're going to get them on the range the first day. It's cool. Half of you stand down there by the targets, and the other half of you here at 25 yards. We're going to, no, we would not do that.
Yeah.
But there's levels to it, like he said.
Yeah. And that's one thing that, to me, novelty is something that will delay UDA
Mhm.
ODA in a big way. Like novelty is something
Oh
whenever
yeah,
you can remove it.
1000%.
So like, having them write the loved one's name, like,
Mhm.
all right, good. We're starting to get there in the
Yeah.
mindset. I know a couple dudes who do the Ziploc bags to class, and all
Hmm.
right, put your phone in the Ziploc bag. We're gonna
Oh, that's okay.
get a
That's
video
interesting.
of you looking like a hero, and then you can staple it to the hostage's head
Mhm.
box.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so they get a cool video of themselves making this hostage shot, and it also ups the stakes, like,
Don't mess it up.
right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you got a 3-month ban from USPSA, or like automatically lose qualification for
Mhm.
shooting a no shoot, how
Mhm.
do you think that would affect
Oh my
overall?
God, forget it. Yeah. That's another thing that like I like again, I love the
Does
competition
that mean
sport.
that the skill level would go
Mhm.
down because the
Mm.
times are taking longer now? Does that mean everybody lost
Yeah, yeah.
skill somehow?
Yeah. And that's something that one of the lost things in competition when it comes to fighting and stuff. Like, again, the skills to be able to see different target arrays and watch your sights and call the hits to know that you did it at a very high rate of speed. Those are absolutely good skills that are going to help you. But the the penalties for you hitting a no shoot is like, oh fuck, I lost some points. Also, why USPSA, one of the at least the biggest thing that I would say is that what's everybody do before the match? They walk the stage. They see the stage and they go, this one's there, this one's there. Okay, that's back there. Ooh, I would have missed that target. And that's again, that's the Rubik's Cube part of it. You're learning the visualization, the dexterity, you're learning to move and plan routes, and they're good skills, but there's still like you can have that. I'm not saying don't have that. I'm saying that in addition to that, do one force on force class. That's literally all you'd have to do. I find you probably back me up. You get somebody who's done some classes and they practice. You throw them in one force and force class. They have their shit their pants moment and they go, oh, I need to like it rewires their brain getting shot up a bunch.
Yep. What do I need to do? Yeah, I've had that. I've had, some of probably the best shooters that I've had in classes. Then when we got into the force on force stuff, either made just terrible decisions,
Mhm.
which good for them, because
They
now
learned.
they've removed that novelty. They've experienced
Mhm.
auditory exclusion.
Yes.
So now they know they need to key in more on some other red flags that are flying in a
Mhm.
situation, and
Yes.
stuff like that. But they either make really poor decisions, or, to be honest, like, static feet when it's time to shoot
Yes.
a lot of times
Hmm.
with people that, or it'll be double tap, double tap,
The
double tap.
doubles.
You know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
shooting doubles on a guy running at them with a knife to see
Hmm.
which number, or how
Yeah.
many pairs he was told to fall down at,
Right. 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 Right.
And it's like,
And
no, this
yeah.
one's more of a bill drill.
Yeah, yeah. This one's more of a ah. But to your point before, the thing of like the guy who's learned all the punches and can jump rope perfectly and his form and everything is perfect, or that guy that's been in 500 street fights, and who would that be? On the flip side of that, to where like I'll come into you. I haven't had this, fortunately. Thank goodness I haven't had this. But guys will say, like, oh, you've never been in a gunfight. You've never served. So how would you know about this? All right. So if being shot at and shooting somebody is the qualifier for teaching, then there's a bunch of dudes out of O Block in Chicago who need to open up training schools.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that, and like, yep, same background as you in terms of that. No law enforcement, no military, but when I decided I was going to buy a gun to protect myself, I did not take that decision lightly, and I knew it wasn't, oh, well, so what you do is you get your gun out of the sock drawer, and then you're James Bond because it's in your
Mm-hmm.
hand. You know,
Mm-hmm.
as you're jumping out the window, you'll make that shot right in his head. Like I knew there was going to be more to it, and I couldn't be a liability to those around me. So I was like, all right,
Absolutely.
I'm going to take the training. And if like any cop or military guy wants to say that that's not applicable, or like what they have to say to train is more relevant or whatever to the everyday person, like, but I am the everyday person, right? Like, what are some of the biggest fears our students have, right? Like something like a home invasion.
Yep.
Okay. Something like getting mugged by a couple dudes in the middle of the Bronx.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Like I learned lessons through both of those. So I can bring that to the table, that I haven't been in a gunfight. And by gunfight, my squad got shot at in some other country
Right.
while laid in this ditch and shot some rounds over the hill while we called in an airstrike. Like, I mean, and not saying that like, nobody in the military does real things and shit. And like, dude, that I know,
Of
like,
course.
yeah, friends with Super Dave. I know there's dudes who do real shit, but just the fact that you have military experience or had a gunfight while you were in the
Real
Marines.
world experience is the phrase that I see. As a matter of fact, Ben, the co-owner of the company I train with, he had another, again, I'm going to keep it general, but another instructor that said I wouldn't train with him because he doesn't have a real world experience. Well, the person who said this was NYPD and like had a gun thing. And it's like, well, what's real world experience? And this kind of segues me into a question I actually have for you. Question I've been asking a bunch of instructors because I like it's a real find with something I've distilled. What is the single most important concept in training, teaching, and shooting? One concept, one like a word, a couple words. What is the single most important thing? I have my answer. I'm curious of what yours would be, though.
Did you give me three separate things to have a most important in, or
in the realm of like the training, the teaching, like what we do as instructors and shooters, the single most important concept? What is your answer?
I'm sorry, but context does matter. And I want to give the question its due justice.
That's fine.
For the student or for us as instructors?
I would say on our end.
Most important thing. It might be something to the effect of beware of dogma.
Okay.
Right? Like let's really be careful in how concretely we present something, right? Like, so this is one I've stole from Sonny Pazikis, but as a fan of Jordan Peterson myself, I'll also steal it. Jordan Peterson always, or a lot of times, will start a statement with, "As far as I can tell." And it might be about something where he's probably the top expert on earth, like in. And he's like, "As far as I can tell, blah, 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 blah." Right? Like, so as far as I can tell, like for forever, I'll give you one that's changed or that my mind opened up to about a week ago. So we're sheepdogs, right? So go to the restaurant, right? And the hostess says, "Booth or table? What do you take?"
I like booths, but I'll ask for one that's in the back. I want a wall behind me.
Okay. So typically I always went table
Okay.
because because table gives me that immediate
Mhm.
mobility. I can kick a chair at, like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
way more mobile,
I don't hate it.
right? And like all four of us can respond, or
Mhm, mhm.
whatever. If you and I are sitting across from each other at a table, and like boom, we can respond quickly.
I
Um,
like it.
so I always thought that that was the way to go. Go to dinner the other night, um, with a buddy who, like, very switched on dude,
Mhm.
and he walks in before I do. He tells the hostess, "Oh, booth," and like jokingly, on the way back to the booth that she's going to sit us at, I'm like, "Oh, way to go, making tactical mistakes, getting us all stuck in a booth." And he just looked at me and instantly said, "Nobody can see me draw while I'm in the booth."
Mm.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
concealment.
Yeah.
Using concealment is a tactic,
That's
just like
right.
movement is the tactic. And
Hmm.
like, I totally discounted that.
Yeah. Just if you got a booth and you got walls like this and you just get a little bit of that, nobody knows what that means until it becomes that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
Concealment.
that was an interesting one, because I had held the table thing, and I know
Mhm,
there's other crap in terms of shooting we could talk
mhm,
about, but like, I kind of held that as dogma from where I learned it from, right?
mhm.
Like,
Right, right.
oh well, Jaeger told me, and it was from Farnham. I don't know if it was exactly from Farnham, or it might have been, a hackathon, or like, this has been passed down. The shoulders of giants that you're
Mhm.
going to one day try and stand on have deemed table easier
Then
place to
booth. Yeah.
defend than booth.
Mhm,
So, like, dogma. And I got kind of trapped in that, and I had told people that, like, hey, yeah, if you have an option, always that way, and always back into your parking spot,
mhm,
right, so you can get out fast. And then someone's like, well, what happens when it's a car blocking you in? How much can
mhm.
your radiator take versus the bed on your truck?
Yep.
And I'm like,
Damn.
dog, the always and the never got me again,
Yeah, the always is and the nevers. That's another thing I've really in the past couple years I've really intentionally tried. If I say not or not say always, I try to always never say always and never. I try to always leave a little bit of most of the time, probably because there's an exception to every rule. So dogma, I like it. So for me, I have found that the way from the lane that I'm teaching and for my students, the single most important concept, context. Why am I telling you to move this way when you draw? Or why am I teaching you to clear the double feed type 3 malfunction this way? And the day that I realized that when this started turning for me, I took a class with a great instructor, very competent, very talented. And this instructor's thing was that he worked with the unit. He was overseas doing the door kicker weapon system platform, very well known, very well respected, and it was a good class. But I noticed that everything that they were teaching was, when you shoot a rifle like this, because when my team shot rifles and when we were on this rooftop in Iraq, and I'm like, okay, cool, but we were in a class, a big open class, and I'm like, well, Julie, the financial assistant, doesn't have a team on a rooftop in Iraq. So her rifle might have to be handled differently than the way you do. Not that your right, the way you did it was bad. It obviously worked very, very well for what you did. So that's a big thing that I try to teach when I'm doing pistol, rifle, shotgun. I love my shotgun class, so much fun shotgun classes, but I try to make it so the skills and the things that I teach will work for a competitive shooter, will work for somebody defending their home. Now, yeah, we'll have a specific defensive class or a performance class where we might have a narrow, wow.
Yeah.
English not. All right. Have a good night, guys. Will not be too narrow.
Yeah. But and that's I think that's probably what we need
Mhm.
more of, or we have to be okay with sending people other places that might be
Oh,
outside
cool.
of our lane, right?
Absolutely.
Like I wouldn't teach. I'm not going to teach somebody how to speed up their splits,
Mhm.
like to a certain point. Like, to be honest, in my classes, I've contemplated like actively teaching that splits faster than 2.5, definitely 2.0, are beginning to get negligent
Mm.
uh, for defensive purposes. Because I mean, we tactical response does have an alumni who, after one of his shootings, or gunfight, this was a gunfight.
Oh,
They
two
went
ways.
both
Okay.
ways, but it was first round, and he had started, he took all the classes of tactical response, and then
Mhm.
he kind of like yourself was like, all right, let's push this performance thing. And so a lot of double taps, or what do you call them, pairs, or
Mhm.
um, and so gunfight happens while he's working security, and he lets two out, and the first one brains him,
Oh.
right? So now puppet strings cut. I use the magic of the internet to find out. I mean, I probably could figure it out with a calculator and
Mhm.
some paper, but
That sounds hard.
a body falling with gravity will fall 7 inches in zero point 0.2 seconds.
Mm.
So so
Well,
this dude was
mm.
lucky that where the gunfight happened, there was a brick wall behind bad guy, like maybe 10 foot.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
He got a 9 mil stuck in, but when he called and talked to Jaeger, he was like, dude, if that was in Walmart,
Mm.
there'd be a round zipping through the chip rack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and because, little delay in recognition, and how long does it take me to stop? And, you know, we only process things so fast, and we, you probably, and like dudes like Garrett in the chat here, can definitely shoot faster than you can think, right? Like, and you may be able to replay
Mhm.
those 6 shots on the bill drill, in between them, but there's something to the the splits that I'm like worried about trying to coach people to go faster
Yeah.
once they're at that like quarter second to point two. And sorry, I went on that tangent because I
No, it's
forgot.
fine, dude. So it's talking about context, but I don't disagree with that. So the way that I'll address that is the way I talk about like the sub-second draw. Like for me, like what's like fat, like just how we avoid always and never when it comes to the performance. I try to avoid as best as I can fast and slow, or faster and slower, because in everybody's minds, fast is a different miles per hour number. Like for me, a sub-second draw is a performance standard. That's a cold standard. I should be able to like go to a class. I'm like, hey guys, we're talking about draws and timers, and we're going to hit an A zone. And I should be able to, 99% of the time, be able to get the gun out and make a hit on an A zone in, sub-second. To some people, that's fast. And that's like a goal for this year. So fast and slow, as it's talking about the splits, the same idea. But to not to get too far off on a tangent, the sub-second draw, I talk about it like a magic trick, like learning a magic trick.
Mhm.
It's not the end result that's the value. The value is all of the skills that you got on the way there, like the way to consistently get a really good index on your gun, and being able to get your gun out of the holster in a good orientation, being able to consistently get your cover garment out of the way, like all the little stuff that will help you for the fight. Same thing with the splits. I wouldn't necessarily discourage the faster splits. I would just make sure that it is compartmentalized and segmented within the curriculum properly. But you can absolutely teach faster splits, because if you teach somebody to split, like to do really super crazy fast splits in its own part, then you throttle back down to fighting, they'll be able to make a lot better hits in that same cadence, or they can probably have a little bit more.
That speed is so addictive.
Dude. Oh my God.
It's like trying to fight.
You get ahead of it. Ooh.
It's like trying to fight lust. Like, like you said, you got guys that out of the holster. But why'd you miss the index card? You still had a second. You had a second left on the par time.
Oh no, it's even better than that. There was no part time. I don't have a part time. It's just like, it's a crazy thing, man. Like when people like they want to go fast, and so I'm gonna actually, now that we're on it, so it'll be like 10 yards, and I'm like, just hit it 5 times. No timer, just you got the time. Just use the time, and they're like, whap 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 whap. And I'm like, you missed. Why you do that? And because like, oh, I was trying to go faster. And now another question. Now that we're talking about it, do you find that sometimes students who have the performance thing, they'll try to do like their own drill within a drill? Like the 3x5 is a good example. I'm like, hit the 3x5. So if you sit there and go, bam, bam, that is the exact same goal as if you went, blah, 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 blah. But because they had their own idea of what they try to do, they tried to turn it into like a speed drill when all it was just hit the thing appropriately 5 times. Do you find that people sometimes add their own little drill in a drill?
Yeah, I guess sometimes, but like I generally don't use timers. Like in my optics class, I use a timer kind of somewhere towards the beginning of day 1, and then at the end of day 1, just as a. And to be honest, I might not use the timer on that drill anymore either. But it's kind of to see progression in the day.
Yeah, of course.
And went back and forth on it on if you need the metric, if giving them the speed, hey, you got a quarter second faster, dude, that's awesome. And them having the mindset of it was only a quarter second faster, it being like a downer to them. And they're like, hey, how'd that feel? And they're like, oh, it was way better than this morning. You know what I mean? So like sometimes that data could help build confidence. I don't want to give anybody false confidence.
Right.
But I want them to be as confident in themselves as I am in them.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like trying to find the metrics, but not using timers much. I don't find too much of the like make your own drill up, other than, you know, people who obviously misunderstand directions. Where it's like, oh, give me 3 in the heart and 2 in the head, or you know, 2 in the brain, and they do it backwards, or you know, like, oh, can I shoot him in the brain now? Like, yeah, like, yeah, I haven't come across that too much.
Okay. I know I did when we have like a real simple like beginning of the day, like, all right, let's just see where we're at, and people will try. Oh, I was trying to go fast. It's like, but you didn't. You did that on your own. We just told you to hit the thing. That's an interesting observation. But
I might be coaching too in a different direction, because you know, I'll typically say something like, hey, you're here to learn. Right? Try things the way I'm giving it to you. If you don't understand what I'm saying, let me know. I can, you know, explain it in a different way, but try to apply what I'm saying. This is probably going to mean you're going to take a step back from what your usual is. But like, if you think you're here to impress me with your shooting, like, sorry, you're probably not going to. So like there's no speed you could go. There's no accuracy you could go that's going to really impress me. What would impress me is seeing things applied and tested and experimented with and going at a speed where you can articulate what you're doing in that new stuff, you know?
Cool.
So I think that probably cuts people off, and then they might shoot too slow.
Again, context. What are you trying to do? If you're in a fighting class and you're worried about your splits, you're not in the right place.
Yeah. Like I need to make sure first and foremost, you know what would really suck for one of my students in the Walmart parking lot, right? It's always the Walmart parking lot or
Yeah.
at the 7-Eleven. What would really suck is them grabbing a handful of shirt at some point in the draw, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they haven't, I shouldn't say they're not going to, they haven't put in the time yet to be where you're at, where you could be like, yeah, so it's not even a sub-second draw, it's just my draw. Like, and it's just, aren't all draws sub-second? Like, but for them, like, it might be more important stressing the clearing of the cover garment if that costs them a tenth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the damn sure get your grip right now while it's in the holster because it might be the last grip you get on the gun before the bad guy takes you to the ground. Nobody said you get to get the thing out of kydex
Yep.
before the fight starts, right? So like if I could get them ultra sure on those things instead of attempting to chase the speed already, it's like I'm not gonna, smooth, whatever, slow, smooth, fast. Like I get it, but we can all make fun of that simple saying. But there's kind of something to it. Like why is your draw fast? Because you do it fast, yes. But
Mm-hmm.
guess what? There's not inefficiencies.
Yep. Then that's the fast and the slow. That's where, again, I try not to say it. It's like when we talk about, oh, I want to be faster, I want to go fast. I'm like, okay, what is fast? How do you get fast? Try harder? No, that's just more effort to get the same thing. There's three components when I teach going fast. Efficiency, the big one. What is efficiency? It's doing the least amount of work to achieve the task. And that's taking out extraneous movement, body, hand, whatever it may be, or doing as much work in the same movement as possible. Like if I talk about a reload, as the support hand goes to the new magazine, the shooting hand has already dropped the old one. So by the time the new one comes out, the old one's out. It's all in one motion. Efficiency. Consistency. Okay, you can do the thing very efficiently. You can do it with as little work. Now let's make sure we can do that over and over again. Do it the exact same way. Once we're efficient and consistent, now we're going to add a sense of urgency.
Let me pause you on consistency there,
Mm.
because I've seen people teach concealed carry type, whatever, defensive handgun. This is how you save yourself and your family at the water park, or whatever classes in a full duty belt.
Mm.
So how applicable is that for the student? And then I've watched people in those classes who were wearing the concealed carry gun, were about to shoot it.
Mm-hmm.
See that dude
And go over here.
and go over to the truck, pop the Pelican, and now they're full battle rattle. So like how much of that transfers, and how many people who are in USPSA, they would claim for skill building of defense that are getting reps and way more experience and consistency with a gun they're not going to carry, in a
Mhm.
setup they're not going to carry.
Mhm.
And so which one do they dry practice when they're at home? Is it the one that
Mm.
they wear to the store when no one's looking, or is it going to be the one that they're going to go try
Right.
and
Are they going to
fall?
leave their race rig in the car? That way, oh, the thing's going on. Oh, let me, yeah. No, that's why that's why I do the thing from belt. My carry rig is my race rig is my teaching rig, and I'll go to matches and people would be like, oh, it's like what rig do you use for this? I'm like, it's just the rig. It's not like a different rig. It's the same holster. It's the same stuff that I use all the time because I want as close to a 1-to-1 as possible while doing the thing. So yeah, you're absolutely right. And I am at this point, I am openly a 2011 and duty belt slanderer at this point because don't get me wrong, I understand why I own a duty belt because I teach cops. Sometimes that's what we're doing. But my holster is also like white alligator skin covered just to be like as satirical as possible. I should have brought it. That would yeah, I'll send you a picture later. It's my duty belt's hilarious, but I have the duty belt like if I'm teaching cops. But when I'm in a pistol class, I don't wear an outside the waistband rig because
Yeah.
that's not what I do. I do
Yeah.
from concealment. My students are from concealment. Now I don't care if it's strong side or appendix, but I want that. Like I'll tell people, I'm like, I don't care what you wear, just make sure you're wearing the same thing. Make sure that it works for what you're doing. Because I have, like you're saying at the matches, people like have like the belt with the CZ shadow, full metal, this, and I'm like, you're not carrying that gun. So if you want, like, you want to get good at the game, go for it. But if you don't carry your gun that way, there's gonna be some stuff that's different. Uh, so yeah, no, absolutely. So, oh yeah.
And you're going to end up being better at the game than
Mm-hmm.
you are at protecting yourself
Yeah.
because you're going to end up getting those reps on the more focused on the timer and with that setup and everything. We did have a couple good comments. I just wanted
I was gonna say because I got them up on mine. Let's pull. If there's a couple good ones, let's talk about them.
this mouse is really trying to die tonight.
Very nice.
It's like an old wireless mouse. Let's see. Where's Garrett's stuff?
Yeah, Garrett had some good ones in there.
Yeah. Do you know Garrett?
Gary, oh yeah, when I did my range master instructor, he was I was sitting next to him in a classroom. He's good people.
Okay.
I like Garrett's good people.
Yeah, very good. All right. So that one, like all shooting is precision. We are accountable for all those rounds. Like what? What? Dude, another thing, man, and I can't blame this on competition because I don't know anything of background. But movement with guns
Mhm.
and the desire to keep it down range
Yeah,
versus safest available direction. I think
correct.
I like the way Farnham says that with like there's no such thing as a safe direction, but safest available to you at the moment.
Mhm.
Um, like there was a video I saw on Instagram, and then Donut Operator did a breakdown of it. Like 6 cops in Houston stacked up. Have you seen this one?
I've seen a similar one, but not in Houston. I saw the one in Vegas, which maybe we can pull that up depending on how much time we got. I haven't seen the one you're talking about though.
Okay, because there's one, and like, dude, the one guy is like breaks away from the stack, and
Mhm.
he's got the gun like doing this
Oh,
thing,
really?
like as he's running, and he touches one off, like
Whoa.
like that, but kept it pointed down range, I guess.
But
The only
meanwhile, his
thing,
buddies were downrange. No shit.
the only thing that saved his buddy from getting shot was that buddy slipped and fell. Like if this was the line the bullet was coming on, the dude was like running, slipped, and was like,
Oh, went over him. Oh shit.
yeah. And I'm like, I don't know if that's from competition, but I had something in a class in I think it was in May where like a dude went to the ground. It's
Mm.
kind of a little bit of an involved drill. Have you done advanced fighting pistol at tactical response? Like stuff with boxing gloves and
Not with. I did that curriculum with another school.
okay.
Hmm.
So their drill and I'm
Mm,
like, all right, shoot a mag into the heart of that bad guy
mm,
and then attempt a reload. And they're like, attempt? And I'm like, fight. And, I've got boxing gloves, so I'm kind of
mm,
badgering them, and seeing like, hey, do you push into and try and make yourself a solid base if I'm going to keep hitting you right here? Or do you wise up and say, I could take a step that way and that punch, it's crazy how
mhm.
many people will push into the punches.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Rather than just take like two steps that way and like I'll give them
Mhm.
breathing space. And then when the gun goes to slide lock, it's like you don't get a free reload on this one. And um, so dude was like running and it had a little bit of a competition background, um, and ends up going to the ground and like in an attempt to keep the gun pointed down range,
Mhm.
flagged like every motherfucker, you know.
Mm,
And it's like, if he would have went, ah,
mhm.
fell and kept it pointed, like we can all fall with the beer glass in our hand and not spill any, right? Or pointed at the dirt, and he could have fell this way. And
Right.
like,
Right. Mhm.
it was just one of those where it was like, you can see it that movement and the gun like on a string back to that berm,
Right. Right. Right.
a little bit of a training scar.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Sometimes, for the sake of movement with a gun, the whole 180 rule becomes more detrimental because you have to keep the gun pointed that way, but you're moving around here, and then guys try to. We see it happen at the locals all the time, where it's like, oh, I got to keep the gun this way, but I got to reload. Oh, I got to reload. Meanwhile, what they didn't break any of the four rules, but because they broke the 180, they have to go home for the night, which I understand it, and sometimes those are like also like real safety violations, not just like USPSA rules. But yeah, when I did the Hero Down challenge last year, there was one, the pistol stage, where it was like a Blaze X, start in the middle, forward, back, forward, right, and you're going up and down range, and guys, most of them come from matches, so they're doing this. And I asked the RL, and I'm like, can I just go gun down? He's like, yeah, just don't point it at us. And I'm like, cool. And I won that one. I got the trophy somewhere, but because instead of having to like keep my arm back, I can just bring it in and run normally. So I don't know, that kind of stuff. I thought that was a fun one.
All right, and I'm searching the comments here. I found a surface that will actually react with this mouse.
Yeah, sure. What we got?
Um, so I think this may have been an answer that Garrett had maybe
Hmm.
on the what's most important, or I think he had something else for that. And Josh had a good one as well. Um, so this was the seek the truth for all three in terms of your concept. Like,
Mhm.
if seeking truth is not a bad. Johnny
That's
Cash
great.
said, "If you seek truth long enough, you'll find Jesus." So seeking truth for everything is not a bad thing. Might end up taking you in a good direction. Yep.
Truth is good.
And here it was Garrett had to understand the why and not just the how.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
That
that's context. Exactly. The
yeah,
why.
yep. That goes to what you were saying. And then there was uh, didn't actually read this whole one, but he typed it in
Hmm.
twice, so we'll throw it up there. How do you handle new students that literally can't get past step one of the draw stroke? Do you bench them or spend all day babysitting? I'll let you take that
Sure.
first. I don't know how many of those you get, or
We get them. No, we get them every once in a while. So if you're talking, how do you handle new students? Can't get past one of the draw. Do you bench them? Okay, so I'm gonna make the assumption that you're talking about an open enrollment class where there's a bunch of students and you get somebody like that. So I'll preface it by saying we kind of we have like a tier system for classes. Like if you're somebody who just got their pistol permit, just also a little precursor, I'm in New York and we have to go through a crazy pistol permit process in order to like get a handgun. So if this person just got their permit and they want to take a class, if we don't know them and they sign up for like a mid-level whatever, we might contact them first and we'll try to work that out. In the event that somebody like that shows up to a class, let's say a Wednesday night, we got 10 people and 7 of them are like regulars who I've trained for years. And we get somebody who like can't, they're barely figuring out the draw. If we have multiple instructors, like if Ben's running the night and I'm there teaching, I'll usually peel off from doing drills, like doing blocks at that point, and I'll just one-on-one with them. So while everybody's going, I'll coach them through. That way they don't boat anchor the process as much as possible. But it has happened. I've done it. Ben's done it. Rachel's done it. To where we get somebody in class and they are just not ready for the curriculum that day. We got to tell them like, hey, thank you for coming. You need to like do a private lesson, or you need to go to like our fundamentals, like a class where everyone else is on the same level. Unfortunately, we have to, every once in a while, we got to do that, where like if someone's that bad and we don't have a way to mitigate it, we got to tell them, hey, your money's still good. You are going to be signed up for this class for no extra charge. Like just show up and you're good, but you cannot be in class today. Every once in a while it happens. It's not often, but if you get someone like that who they just can't get this, even if it's like the safety stuff, it's like, they draw and the fingers go in there and the muzzle, like if we can't get them past that, we got to work with them some other time, because that's going to be a detriment to the learning process and the safety of everybody.
Yep. And very similar. I trying to think like how many total students I may have seen come through fighting pistols, and then my classes, but decent number. You know, if it's not over 1,000, it will be shortly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In terms of 4 entry level classes, or whatever. And there's 2 in fighting pistol that were like on the not like can't get it train. And that's all I've come across. One did issue a refund. It was a class on the road, and it was packed, and it was, the dude didn't even like, he came from gun store to class.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
It's a fighting rifle class where fighting pistol is supposed to be a prerequisite, and this guy's got like PMags in plastic, and like he didn't have a single like unopened magazine, like manufacturer chamber flag still in there, like sling in the Magpul box, like
yeah.
Wow. And so we got them all hooked up and whatnot, and we're like, all right, well, let's go. We'll try and catch you to speed. And Jaeger had another dude, Brian Sayers, working with, like, he was like, Sayers, like, fucking, you watch that dude. And even with Brian, he was trying to go too fast. He was trying to keep up with the people to his right and left.
Oh yeah.
and just literally it was like a, hey, we've told you 3 times now. Like, now it's, if something does happen, we're extremely negligent for letting you continue. Like, you need to take the fighting pistol class because we can go over stuff different pace. And then there was one dude that I took his gun about halfway through day one, like hot in Tennessee. He was learning the safety stuff, right? Like, it's a class where we've had tons of people who've never touched a gun before take it, grab one of our rentals, and we go. But this dude was very, like, an older gentleman. I think he was starting to get to him, and like things that were like, oh, like he's coming along, then started to deteriorate. So we gave him a blue gun, plastic, and we're like, hey, we'd really like you to continue to run these drills and treat that gun as a real gun. Like, I don't want to cheat you out of these reps.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just, it seems like either the weather, do you need to take a break? Then he was like, no, and I am hydrated and all this. And we're like, all right, well, participate, learn some of this stuff, and you'll get this many more draw strokes of it, and this many more scans, gun up and finger straight. So those were the only 2 that I've seen, like, that can't get past, or like had to be specially remedial trained.
Yeah, it's not often, but every once in a while, because we train everybody, which brings me to an interesting thought. Who I was talking to about this, where ever since I started doing the pistol permit class, I've changed my view on things a tiny bit. Where when I first trained with tactical response, I'm like, everybody rights for everybody, and this and this, and everything, no regulations. I'm not saying like we need crazy gun control, but I have found that as I have traveled this earth, there is somewhere between 1 and 4% of the human beings I've come across that I'm like, I would feel better if they didn't have guns. Like, it's just some people that they say stuff to you, and like there was one dude who my past, I was an iron worker. I worked on a bunch of big projects in New York, climbing around bridges and buildings, and I was on the Tappan Zee Bridge project, which was a massive project, bunch of companies, all the trades. And there was one dude who was related to the project manager, VP. I don't remember how, but there was a nepotism thing that got him on the project with us. But that's all he had. He did, like, somebody had to tell him what tools to buy, and like he was literally like, it was a favor to get the cousin on the job because he needed a job. And he actively not actively tried to hurt himself, but it was the kind of thing like, we're putting counterweights on a crane. Think of a 30,000-pound chunk of steel moving into a crane to like that. And he's got like his arm up in there, and we're having to actively pull him out of the way. Yeah, no, like the kind of stuff that like I'm cutting with a torch, and he's managing the tanks, and he pops the valve open, and it's just like we're gonna die. This guy's gonna get one of us killed or himself. And
the kind of stuff that someone had to tell me on a fishing boat when I was 14, but I will definitely laugh and call them retarded for doing now.
No, of course. Yeah.
And it's like, well, I was just taught earlier. It's like, your heart's in the right place. He's trying to line the weight up for you. He's just overestimating his strength, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. But he was the kind of dude. It's like, we talk. This is when I was first getting into shooting, and it's like, yeah, no, I shoot. And he's like, oh, that's kind of cool. I'd want to go shooting, and I'm like, yeah. And then I stopped. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't. This is one person. Another person is a relative of a friend of a, very distant, but I could say she was talking about taking her kids to karate and like they do it as a family. And her reasoning was like, yeah, I like doing this. I can't wait to feel somebody's face crush under my fist. And I'm like, you should not own guns. So like those are the two people as I've gone across the world. I'm like, so not everybody, but almost everybody.
Yeah, and there's something too. I like to give benefit of the doubt or
Mhm.
some kind of power of the conversion, right? Because
Mm.
like when I was living in New York and Connecticut, like
Mm.
I was a road rager.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like knowing what I know now,
Hmm.
like, are you kidding me?
Dude, it's not. Yeah, bro.
Like I'd be pulling, and it was all bullshit, tough guy shit. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But as soon as I put that gun on, I was
Hmm.
like everything has potential to get to here now. Like I don't like, and it was pretty instant. Like you know, I mean, college days, like you might find me dancing on a bar, right? Like may or may not have clothes on. Like
Optional.
if I had a staccato for every place I got kicked out of for I'd be able to sell a couple and keep one.
Yep.
But like as soon as I put that gun on, it's like,
Yeah.
you know what? I should probably stop at this second drink because there's not really a good place to put this if I take my clothes off. you know?
Yeah, that's
I,
something I tell people. That's like my little spiel in defensive pistol. It's like you have made the decision to put this on your body. So you have actively decided that you are now holding yourself to a higher moral standard than everyone else around you. You have to act differently. There's no more arguments, there's no more ego, there's no more road raging. You have to be the better person by a large margin because your responsibility in society is much higher.
Mhm.
And that's something that I really feel like the road rage thing. It's like, dude, just don't. It's not like let stupid be stupid over down there. Let him do it. Let him cut you off and go. It's fine because if the stupid goes away, you won.
Yep. Yeah. And shoot, there was something else you said a little earlier, and I wanted to kind of dovetail on, but
Mm.
now it's escaped me.
Yeah, it happens. It's all right.
Yeah.
You'll watch this stream back in like 2 weeks from now. You'll fucking text me or something. That's just fine.
Yeah. Poo-poo-poo.
So actually, I saw one comment. But Garrett posted. Of course, Garrett posted it. Something. I lost it. Something about does it work in the dark or like with certain clothes on about like gun
Yeah,
handling.
in normal clothes. Yeah.
Mhm. So
That's
with like working in the dark, again the competition thing. A big thing in performance and USPSA stuff is looking the reload into the gun for consistency for an efficient reload. That's something that okay that checks out. But if we're talking about the fighting aspect, I am a very big fan of proprioceptive gun handling to where I can feel what the gun is doing. Like part of my dry practice when I'm doing reloads, I'll take, just a minute or two just to make sure I'm in check. I'll put a blindfold on and make sure that I can do those reloads the same way. Because if we're talking about fight. Oh,
that was
cool.
applause for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I was wondering, I'm like, what the hell is my phone doing? Yeah, that's a big one for me. I'll always do just a few reps, 5-10 reps of closed eyes. When I say blindfold, closed eyes, just to make sure that I can do that consistently. Because yeah, if you're in a lit range or whatever, and you can see, good. But if you're fighting, if the home invasion scenario, the lights are off, or you got the weapon light, and your vision is adjusted to that, and you just have black blob and black blob, are you going to be able to do that?
Yeah.
Same thing with malfunctions.
Well,
This
and
is
what do you lose? What do you lose? So in the stage, right?
mm,
When you peak that reload and cram it in, when
mm.
you look back up, are most of the targets usually in the same spot they were before you stole the peak down?
Yeah, they don't move. You're right. The stage, as a matter of fact, that's a range equipment failure if the target's moved. They have to set it up and do it again.
Yeah. So like a split. Well, I'm only taking my eyes off the
Mm,
battlefield for a split second.
right.
Like, okay, well, that's the split second you're giving him that you're
Mhm,
gonna have
mhm.
to try and find him.
Now, I will admit, pardon if I come off with some hubris here. I know that my reloads are quick enough where I can look at the amount of time that I will do it in is negligible. But somebody who's like, okay, I have to reload really, and if you spend, 2 seconds, however long, with your head down, getting hyper focused into this, that's where I would encourage that. Same thing with like a malfunction. Press the trigger, gun doesn't work. Just default to the tap and rack, being able to look. I've seen so many malfunctions on a range become worse because people are trying to magneto their gun. They're trying to look at it real hard to fix it. But because of the looking and the diagnosing, things get backwards and inside out. And now you have a new malfunction where if you just went, we wouldn't be there.
Magneto, I like that.
Mhm. Yeah, well, because that's what I say to people with looking at the gun for like malfunctions and stuff. I've said, unless you're telekinetic, you can't look hard enough to fix it.
Oh, dude, I love that. I used to
You're
stop
welcome.
everything and be like, all right, so guys, listen, I'm not that smart. Like, I left Cornell Engineering, but I had one of my buddies there who's great at math help me with this study, and we studied every malfunction ever. And statistically, it came out to 0% that will be fixed by looking at it. And then I go, it doesn't. And then I'm like, big shocker. It doesn't even matter how you look at it. You can give it the angry face. Hmm. You could give it the surprise face. Like, none of that will fix it. Usually that sends the point
Yeah.
home. Like, okay,
So
fine. I'll just do it.
to piggyback on that, I distinctly remember one time, I've seen this multiple times, to where it was a gun that was kind of broken in and the mag springs, a little loose. So so click, no bang. Student brought the gun in and racked it this way. Well, the extractor didn't quite grab it. So the casing came out of the chamber and just sat there. So they racked again and it bounced and stayed there and racked again. And they're going chit, 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 chit. And I'm like, hold on. Don't panic. Ready? Whoop. And then because they're trying to look and using the ejection port as like a bowl for the casing to stay there. And
Yeah.
I'm like, just give it one of those, bro.
So and my line for that is like, I don't know about you, not the luckiest man in the world.
Mhm.
Like, Gravity and Murphy, each individually pretty close to undefeated.
Yeah.
Let them team up against you, it's bad day.
Oh, absolutely it is.
And dude, you know what is crazy about that? I'm talking to Paul Markle and I'm like, hey, I just noticed again, like, another special forces guy racking it that, like, why do
Mhm.
none of them come over the top? And he's like, oh, that's easy. Because when they went from 1911 to Beretta, right, the M9,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
it was inducing malfunction by coming over the top.
Oh, okay.
On the Beretta, you've
Right.
got,
It's open everywhere.
you've got the world's
Mm.
biggest ejection port,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you
yeah. Okay.
get away with it. And I'm like, all right, wait. So how did they run the 1911s? And he's like, and I'm like, so changed guns, and then somebody was like, hey, with this new gun, we need to switch the way we're doing it, right? Like, good on them. But then they got rid of the Berettas,
and they didn't switch it.
and nobody thought like, hey, this one's got the small ejection port and doesn't have the decocker, so
Maybe
let's
we
go
need
back to
Nope.
the way like nobody put that two and two together, and that's
The
another
the institutional inbreeding of this is the way we've always done it. It's like, but the thing changed that just because we've done it this way doesn't. So yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even think of that. That's a good point. Wow.
And you would think their like unwillingness to change
Mm-hmm.
would have meant that they would have just ate all the malfunctions with the Beretta, and then they'd be doing the right thing now that they were doing originally. Like, but anyway, yeah,
Cool.
it's crazy seeing that. It's just I'm like, the upfront, and yeah, little pet peeves, right?
Oh yeah, just the small things. Like as you know, like the industry is cyclical and things come back. Like this discussion of the gaming versus the fighting, and like red dots versus irons is a thing again. I'm like, how are we back there? But I like to bring it up just because it's fun and it gets engagement. The old press check thing, like, the way people do the press checks. And I will admit, like I said in the video, I have softened my position a little bit on press checks because you're in a class all day, you're managing magazines, blah, 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 blah. And if we get up to the line and it's like, all right, we're going to do a time drill, make your gun ready. If someone like takes a peek after like an hour of the gun sitting, I don't like it, but I can kind of sort of, this is the one, you'll back me on this. This one still drives me nuts. Like, we get up to the line, guns clear, guns whatever, and someone goes magazine, slide, and then opens it back up. And I'm like, you loaded it. You were there when you loaded your gun. And who told me? Someone's like, oh, if the mag springs or this. And I'm like, okay, cool. But then that's a gun problem that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't know that it's loaded when you do that, maybe that's something that should be fixed. Like, I know with my Glocks, my Walther, I go magazine, slide, it's loaded. I'm completely confident in that.
If you do those two things, your gun should be, barring a gun that is broken, your gun's loaded. Like, seat the mag well, like, if you're positive on those things, then there's no reason to press check it there. If you're hitting the slide lock lever to send it home, right? And you do get a little cattywampus coming into the mag well, and it hits the back, then slide can go home before mag straightens out and gets seated fully. And you may think that it happened when you hit the button, but really it happened, a split second before that. And so you could have that stuff happen.
Yeah, of course.
If you go over the top and run that slide forward, like, homie, that's how the gun works. There's a bullet in there. The one that would drive, like, so Jay Gibson, right? One of his crazy pet peeves is there's a dude, well-known dude, maybe not so much anymore, but he had like a 17-minute video on how to load your rifle. And it was like, it broke down into like 14 steps. And like checking that it was clear was like a 5-step process before loading it. And he's like, yeah, and you got to do a chamber check and check, that you don't have a round on the bolt face and you don't have a round in there because you're about to load your gun and you wouldn't want to load one round on top of another one into the chamber. And it's like, that's literally impossible, I'm pretty sure. Like, unless you have a broken extractor.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Yeah. Like you don't want to load another round in. So first thing we're going to do is clear this thing because we want to load it. And is it
Whatever,
Jay
man.
like Jay hit pause and he's like, "Hey, you know how to load your gun?" And he like picked up an AK he had sitting up against the table. It's loaded. Yeah, but I do agree in taking performance classes, especially when there's special loadouts for magazines and things like that for different drills. You're doing a lot of fuckery, what I would call fuckery with your gun. And if you're actively like unloading your gun and sometimes loading it back, sometimes spending all your mags, sometimes going back to the table and
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
it does get weird
Of course.
to keep track of it. But if your gun's just always loaded, then you have like a confidence in it being loaded.
Right.
And like I was at a class with a buddy and we were kind of, talking the press check thing with someone in the class saying AI. And my buddy goes to shoot the drill and it was like you were going to need to reload between certain iterations and he had forgotten to. And so one of the iterations that was a 6-round like plate rack, he only had like 4 rounds left in his mag. And he's like, I forgot to top it off when we did this thing because, and the AI was like, see, you should have press checked. They're free. And I'm like, how would a press check have helped him there? And she's like, well, like, as part of the whole press check procedure, I take my mag out and look how much is in that. And I'm like, oh, well, yeah, if we take the gun apart, put it back together, load it, then we know it's loaded. Yeah.
Right.
But like a press check wouldn't have saved him there. But
Right.
I don't know.
Like I'm on the other side of it where we're like, I'll demo some talking about the grip and doing this. And when I'm done, I'm like, all right, yeah, you'll do this in a sec. And I'll put a mag in and I'll have this moment of like, because the way I run my grip, I learned from Scott Jedlinski, get the support hand real high. And my support hand thumb meets mash my slide lever down. So my gun like never locks open. I can feel pretty much when it's doing stuff, but I'll shoot some stuff and then I'll top it off and I'll go, did I? I don't know. And I'll do a tap rack and one will pop out. And I'll go, I got more in there. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why people get so hung up on the round hitting the ground. Is that, you think, like a leftover of IDPA nonsense?
No, I can tell you what exactly it is that ammo is expensive and every round counts and people want their stuff that they paid for. And I don't blame them because in this state, every one of those little bastards is precious. So you get one that's out, it's like, oh, I need that because getting ammo in this state is difficult. And I saw a comment, Liberty Seeker 8495,
Yep.
OFTLLC.us if you want to check us out. Yeah, he's just asking like when to train. Yeah, OFTLLC.us if you want to train.
Yeah. And that one round, I always thought, I was like, that's movies, right? Because in like, it's Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
It's the big scene and like, I'm out. What do you got left? I'm like, I've only got one left. Like, all right, better make it count. Like, shoot the spotlight. Spotlight falls down, hits the crane falls, like explosion, 50 bad guys die. And like, when that live round hits the ground, people are like, that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah. Well, that one is, again, being in New York, that one is the difference between 10 and 11. And even though it's like the stuff, it's like I got more than 10. What I get it. Absolutely. So having that extra one it matters a tiny bit. And also, like I said, it's value. Like getting more ammo is hard, so we got to keep as much as we can.
Yep. I understand that piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. What else? What else do you guys have in the chat? If you've got anything you want to throw in there, questions before we call it. Anything else you wanted to cross over into and whatnot? I guess I'll throw it out there. Like I didn't realize you guys were as tight with Super Dave as you guys were.
Yeah, Super Dave was good friends of ours, man. Especially
Yeah.
Ben. Ben was real good friends with him. Known him for a while.
Yeah, I listened to or was re-listening to some stuff on Super Dave. We were on a road trip and we listened to the podcast he did with a few other of the guys um, right after Dave's passing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shoot! Like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize Super Dave went up there up to New York.
Yeah, we brought him up a few times.
Yeah, damn. And it's like if you know Super Dave, you know all the Super Dave stories are true.
Hilarious. Yeah, dude, I could tell you my first run with Super Dave a few years ago was when we brought him up to host. So this is just wild thinking about it now. I had the privilege of shooting a match with Dave, taking a class because the match was on a Wednesday, Tuesday night. So we shot the match, then we did, a class with Dave. And then he was there for another week because they were going to go to PA to do other stuff. So I was teaching a Wednesday night on one of our skill builders. And because they had some time off, Dave came into my class as a student. And that was I was still new to teaching. And I was kind of starstruck by the internet guys. So when Dave walked in, he's like, hey, bro, figured since I'm around, I'm going to take a class with you. And I'm like, oh. So that was cool as shit.
Yep. Yeah, definitely cool. Same humbling experience having him in fighting rifle class that I was helping Jay teach.
That's cool.
When you sign a certificate like that, it's like, man, this is sweet. And dude, another thing I got to give you a lot of credit for is it seems your mindset of seeking knowledge from the generation before you.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. That's something that I want to try to be the arbiter. I don't know. I'm out running my fucking education with words, but trying to be the bridge because how do the overwhelming majority of our students get into this? They see stuff on a phone screen, on a laptop, it's flashy internet. Meanwhile, there's decades and more of history of gunfighting and skills. When I did Rangemaster, the pistol craft, the highest level of pistol instructor for Rangemaster, got a copy of The Complete Art of Shooting from 1965. And the entire pistol section was written by Colonel Jeff Cooper. And just going through it and reading things about ammunition technology and holsters, and that was hilarious because I don't think it's been a big thing lately, but that one guy who got injured with the appendix holster, so the whole appendix is dangerous, may rear its ugly head again. In 1965, Colonel Jeff Cooper stated in this book that he preferred appendix carry to strong side. And I'm like, that's kind of it, man. If he's going to say it, at the very least, they're even.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool because I think that goes back to Josh's comment about seek the truth.
Yes.
Because we need to get past and beyond feelings and get to truths of things. And I think so many people in our generation are quick to dismiss dude,
the future is now, old man.
You realize you are shitting on or attempting to shit on Ken Hackathorn. This dude knows things.
Yeah.
if you disagree with what he's saying, you're more than entitled to do that, but have respect. Don't don't think he has nothing to give you a value
Mhm.
because you
Mhm.
disagree with one thing he said.
Yeah, of
Because
course.
again, what everybody took problem, the flashlight and the red dot, you don't need it on your gun.
Mhm.
Basically what he said. It doesn't
Yeah.
you don't need it. And people are like, ah, FUD, like you don't
Uh-huh.
know shit about shit. Like what?
Yeah, well, I mean, his thing on that was a little more in depth, but yeah, like just black and white, you don't need it, which is an objectively true statement. You
Yeah,
don't need it, but I mean, I obviously would make the counter argument of like the which sighting system is better relative to the skill of a shooter, and like we can get into that. That's a whole nother
yeah.
podcast,
And
honestly.
and and if you had him on a podcast and
Hmm.
we're talking to him about it, he may say like, okay, yeah, well, at your level, at this, for this reason, for that reason, the video I was putting out there was like Susie Homemaker doesn't need to spend an extra $1,000 like to turn her Glock from a $500 gun into a
Hmm.
$1,500 gun. She
Right,
doesn't
right, right.
need it
Correct.
to be able to protect her kid, or make the shot where like it's going to be in the dude's belly. Like,
Hmm.
so he may have been able to expand. I know it was a little bit longer than just a 30-second, but
Hmm.
like to discount stuff or like Super Dave,
Yeah.
because people say like, me and Jay or Sonny, like you're doing drills that like not even Delta would do, or not even these people would
Mhm.
do. Like nobody would do that. Like that's some shit you'd only see in Russia, right?
Mhm.
And it's like, well, no. Like I've run those drills in Super Dave classes, or
Yeah.
akin to that at least, if it's not
Mhm.
the same thing. But like I've done that in Super Dave's class. And
Yeah, dude.
you to tell me that a Delta guy would say it's stupid. Like, do you know who trained those guys for a long time?
Mhm. Yeah.
The dude who taught me how to do this thing.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, that
So,
was one of the drills that Dave did quite a bit, where he'd have like, a silhouette like arm's length on either side of him, and people would come up to like, 5-ish yards, and he would say, "Magazine into it, go," and he'd just stand there, and like he did that in multiple classes.
yep. Yeah. And, the Greek key drills, I don't know if you've run those with him.
I think one was the Roman cross, I believe he called it, where it was like two of you and you'd shoot, and then the other guy, and you'd move and like control your muzzles as you're going
Yeah.
around each other. Yep, that's
Mhm.
something you did in a lot of classes.
Yep. Or have like a V of cones or an A of
Mm,
cones, or bucket lids that
mm,
like everybody's walking and putting two on every target, and as you walk, like, okay, somebody's going to have to go gun up and go behind while the other person can still shoot. And,
okay.
like learning how to think with the
Yeah.
gun in your hand,
Oh yeah.
like legitimate reasons to be safe.
Yeah. Of course. I
So
got there's a funny one. And Ed Cilio, he said, always important to have empty chamber flags to warn people when a gun is unloaded. And to that, I'll also say I have a Tenacore holster that's made out of transparent Kydex. That way, I know when the gun's in the holster.
damn.
Yeah.
So chamber flags,
Mm.
do with this what you will. I purchased a pack of bachelorette straws, bachelorette party straws. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so at the tip of the straw, there's
Uh-huh. Yep.
one of those Jimmy Jammies hanging. And I use those as chamber flags for some of the guys around tactical response that like if they left gun around, I'd unload it and then
And put
stick
it.
that in there.
That's
So
hilarious, dude. That's hilarious.
yeah,
Oh my god, that's the best idea for a chamber flag.
yeah, they would not let me use it at the tactical games.
Yeah, I can imagine why.
Yeah, they were like, that doesn't count as a chamber flag. It has to be like hard plastic or something. And I'm like,
And you're like, well, part of it's hard.
yeah, yeah. I ended up borrowing one, but
Oh,
yeah.
that's funny.
All
That's
right, man.
awesome.
Well, I
Yeah,
think we
man.
had a good discussion. Very good to talk to you.
Likewise, Louis.
It's awesome talking to like-minded people who, our paths don't align
Mm.
100%, and we may have some differences of opinion, but at the end of the day, if what we're striving for is for our students to be able to protect themselves, like we are seeking the truth ourselves.
Yes.
So if we keep seeking it, I think we've got the best chance of giving it to people.
I'd absolutely agree with that.
All right. Anything you want to plug before I hit the button?
I mean, you want to train with me? OFTLLC.us. If you want to see me ramble and shoot poorly, Pinkshirt Tactical, Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff.
All right, sir. You have a good night.
But thank you very much, Louis.
Thank you.